Hey, Colin, Hiles here, aka the Mindset Guy, with today's training video, which is all about how to stop worrying. Now, firstly, are you a worrywart? Are you the type of individual that if there was an Olympics for warriors, you would be a gold, silver, or maybe a bronze? Right? Well, we all worry. Everyone worries, right? It's part of the way that the brain works. But in this video, I want to explore why it's so important that we take a look at it and how it links to this series, this How to Happiness series. Is last week we looked at expectations. That was in video number 4. And how this links to that is when we're worried about something, what we're basically doing is we're expecting the worst to happen. Our expectation is the worst is going to happen. And as a result of that, we create a feeling of worry, right? So let's look at first why it's important to spend some time looking at worry. The first thing is that actually when we're worried about something and we're continually worrying about something, it is actually a massive negative drain. It drains all of the positive energy away and fills us with negative energy. And I think I read somewhere or saw somewhere, you know, worry is about sitting in a rocking chair, constantly rocking backwards and forwards, using up energy but not really getting anywhere. And with worry in particular, for most of us, it is below the radar. We're unaware of how much energy we expend through worrying about something. Because it's kind of normal, everyone worries, people talk about their worries. It's actually sometimes the topic of conversation, what we're worried about at the moment. So it's normal, but it's under the radar. We need to bring it above the radar. We need to look at it and explore it, because worry is an energy. And if you know anything about the law of attraction, like attracting like, it's very possible that what we're worried about, we actually attract, we actually bring into our lives. So that's why if we expect the worst, sometimes the worst happens. And I'll talk a little bit more about this. So ultimately, with worry, it is a big waste of time. And to back that up, here's a little bit of research that I come across. So it says, studies have proven that 40% of what we worry about never happens. 30% of worries are about things that's already happened. 12% are needless health worries. 10% are petty worries. Only 8% of worries are about anything substantial, but out of those 8%, 50% of what we're worrying about is actually beyond the worrier's control. So by my maths, that I think is 96% of what we worry about, right, is pretty irrelevant. 96%. So if we were to only worry about the 4%, think of all the energy that would save us. I mean, an incredible amount of energy would be saved. And of course, that energy is positive energy, so it can be put to good use to get more of the things that we actually want. Now, there's good and bad of worry. Let's just talk about the good and bad of worry. Now, everyone worries. Why? Well, because the brain is set up to worry. It's a kind of a way. When we worry about something, what we're basically doing is we're interpreting, we are predicting, and we are planning and preparing for a future event. That's really what's going on. And there's nothing wrong in that. In fact, the good of worry is if it motivates us to take action, then that's a good thing. See, worrying about our weight and shape isn't going to change it. If worry gets us to do something, to actually take action, it's a good thing. Worrying about our finances isn't going to put more money in the bank. If worry gets us to take action and do something, then to put money in the bank, then that's a good thing. Now, worrying about our relationships and the quality of it isn't going to bring more intimacy and more love into the relationship. But if worry gets us to take action, then it's a good thing, right? So worry has a positive side if it motivates us. But often, out of that list that I've just gone through, we can see a lot of what we worry about, we just worry. We actually don't take any action on it. And of course, that's when it becomes toxic. That's when it becomes unproductive. That's when we get stuck in a worry pattern or a worry program that we can't break and we can't get out of. And then it's not useful, right? And it can affect our sleep. I mean, how many times have you woke up in the night and then the brain starts and then you start worrying about something like, God, did I buy the right lasagna dish? Or God, I hope that when I get to the gym tomorrow, there's a running machine that I can get. And if I can't get on the running machine, the brain starts all these things, and it's like there's nothing you could do about it at that time in the morning. It keeps us awake, right? And of course, there's other things like worrying if your child is out and they haven't come home at this time that they've said. I mean, these are more sort of legitimate. As long as we start taking action, and of course, typically we would take action. If you're around, a child and they're around, around a swimming pool or something like that and they can't swim, then worry might get you to keep them away from the pool or put something around the pool that stops them getting near it, right? That's a good thing. Someone senior in an organization, if they're worried about the economic climate and they shift their strategy in order to make sure that they're safe, then that's a good thing, right? So, as I say, there's a bad side and there's a good side to worry. But what we want to make sure is that we're using it for good. We're using it to get ourselves to take action. Now, what's actually going on with worry? Let me use this little model that you see up here. So we've got worry and anxiety. That comes from a thought that we're having. And that thought is a future what if negative visualization. That's what we're doing. We've gone into the future. We've taken ourselves out of the present. We've gone into the future and we're picturing, we're imagining, we're using our imagination in a negative way, something that isn't good, something going wrong. And of course, as a result of picturing ourselves of something going wrong, then it becomes a feedback loop and it creates more worry and more anxiety. So this feeds this, which feeds this, which feeds this. And you can see this is where we get ourselves stuck in a sort of a negative loop of worry, anxiety, and fear. Thought, future, picture, imagine, more, fear, worry, doubt, and anxiety, and so on. So it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, each one feeding the thought, feeding the feeling feeding the thought feeding the feeling, and so on. And the challenge can be that sometimes these future imagined events are real, but sometimes they're only perceived. They're like, what if they laugh at me, right? That's just what you're making up. What if they don't laugh at you and they love what you're going to talk about, okay? Or what if they think I'm stupid? But what if they think that you're not stupid? But you see, we think that that's the truth. The brain starts to accept those perceived events, not real events, perceived events, as the truth. And we experience them as the truth, and we get locked in this pattern that is not a good pattern. So this is basically what's going on. It's a what if negative visualization. So anytime you're worrying, you're negatively visualizing. Some people say to me, Colin, I'm not very good at visualizing. I go, well, do you worry? Oh yeah, then you definitely visualize. You're visualizing negatively, except what we want to do is visualize positively. But it's a funny conversation when I have that conversation with some people, because they're adamant they don't visualize. Colin, I can't visualize, I don't visualize. I'm hopeless at visualizing. Do you worry? Yes. Well, then you're visualizing, just negative. So how do we break this? So I'm going to share with you some of the best ways that I've come across to break the pattern. So one of the ways to do is just basically just to ask a question. And by the way, with these, you've got to work with these and try these different techniques, these different how-tos to find one that works for you. I'm going to share my favorite with you through this list. I'm going to share five of them with you. But you've got to find what works best for you. So, and different ones might work different for different contexts. If it's just light worry, one of these might be different than if you're really stuck in a negative pattern and you're becoming very obsessive and you can't break it. So one of them is just basically to ask a question. Questions direct focus and also raise awareness. So, if you ask a simple question like, what if I continue just to worry about this, what's the consequence? And what's going to happen? What's going to change? Okay? Nothing, okay? Or what's the worst possible consequence if this perceived imagined event happens, and what's the possibility of it actually happening? Sometimes a question that I'll ask a worrier, for instance. And that alone can just burst the bubble and go, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. And awareness is curative. Once you become aware of what you're doing, then you can change it. So that's one. Two, you can just change the picture. You just literally, that you're picturing a negative imagined event, then just picture a positive imagined event, or picture something that's more pleasant, something that is good. You know, that's another thing that you can do. Another thing you can do is thought stopping. So, you know, where you have like an elastic band or something like that. I mean, this is a very, very proven technique. And what you do as you begin to worry is you literally just take the rubber band and you just flick it, all right? And also in your mind, it's good just to say, stop! Okay, I wouldn't say doing that out loud, especially when you're in public, but stop, right? In your mind. And this can be a pattern interrupt. It can interrupt the pattern. It literally creates a degree of pain in the brain, and the brain will always move away from pain. Now that's a little bit of physical pain. I'm not recommending that you pull it right back and, you know, and create some sort of, I don't know, mark across here from doing that. It's just a all right, and stop in your head. And you know, that thought stopping has been proven. It's a great way of getting a handle on this pattern and then changing the pattern. Another one, which is an NLP technique, which is a very simple technique. It's very, very quick. Is basically what you do is you think about what you're worried about. You bring your hand up very, very close, and you think about what you're worried about, and then you project it into your hand. You think and you project. You project what you're worried about into your hand, and you continue projecting it into your hand as you move your hand away, further and further and further and further and further away. And you'll notice as you do this, the worry will dissipate, and then just drop your hand down, and then obviously take action. That's a very, very powerful technique, and it's very, very quick. And it's just basically the way the subconscious works. It works more with symbols, it works more with images than it does with words. So, you know, this is a symbol, you're using a symbolic, you're using the hand, you're using a visual imagery, and you just break. So anyway, test it rather than me talk about it, because you're like, that's a bit weird, Colin. Test it and you see. My favorite out of all of these is the tense and release. So anytime that I'm starting to get a little bit worried about something and it's not productive, I'm not doing anything, I'm just worrying. What you can do, and you can use this out in public, you can use this at any time, you can use it in any situation. It could be you're worried about a speech that you've got to do, or you're worried about you know, an exam that's coming up, or you're worried about you know, you're going in for a job interview. Anything that you're worried about, basically, big or small, this works, and it's very quick. So what you do is you take a deep breath in, and then you tense up every single muscle that you can, every muscle. And then you release. All right, muscle in your jaw, in your face, shoulders, neck, chest, you know, stomach, thighs, calves, every muscle, you just tense it up, and then you release. And you just let it go. That's my favorite, because that, for me, 10 seconds or less, I can get a handle on worry, and then I can do something. And then ultimately, the best antidote to worry is taking action. So anytime you can get yourself to take action on whatever you're worried about, or if you're worried about something you can't control, can't do anything about, let go of it, then you're going to be able to take the energy and move it towards something that's a lot more productive. And remember, the world doesn't need worriers, the world needs warriors. So you owe it to yourself to let go of these worry patterns and get yourself into a more empowered place, because worry is a happiness robber. So there you go. You've got some techniques to try there. Let me know how you get on with these techniques. Leave a comment below. If you're on my blog, you've got a space down there. If you're on YouTube, you've got a space down there. Go test something. Next time you worry, go test one of these ideas and then come back and let me know how you've got on. So this is Colin Hiles. Leave me, once again, some feedback. 1 being not very good, 10 being really good. Really enjoyed it, Colin. It's great when you interact with me. I love interacting with you. So next week, I'm going to come back with another video up here on how to use this internal path to happiness. And I look forward to seeing you then. Hold on. Now, did you enjoy that video? Well, if you did, I would like to show you how you can train your mind to perform how you want it to, so that you can break through to the next level with my advanced mind power training. It's totally free, and you can get it by going to www.advancedmindpowertraining.com or clicking on the link below this video. I'll see you on the next video.